Welcome to the Automotive Blockchain channel, everyone. Hey, I just want to give a quick love dub out from my heart to yours. That is you who are watching this particular video. Thank you for joining the channel. And if you are new to the Automotive Blockchain channel, get on in the Automotive Blockchain channel bus. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. All right, we're going to be going over an article that was put out last month. Late last month, actually, going over, it was from Forbes, and they're going over blockchain in the automotive sector. And this is 3 use cases and 3 challenges. Now with that, I'm going to say this, is that this article is written by a particular person who is a founder and CEO of Appropriate. And it's a software development company that provides engineering services globally to tech companies. So that's who this is written by. So let's go ahead and move on into this article. Now, the use cases here, as they're saying here, and I kind of want to set the scene for you. And here's the thing. If you were new to the cryptocurrency, if you were new to distributed ledger / blockchain technology, this article, this particular video is going to be for you. If this is something where you're like, hey, I'm more advanced in this, do me a favor and go ahead and share this video with someone who you think that just needs to get a little bit of information to kind of get them introduced to the subject matter at hand. All right. So here, let's set the scene. Every day, automotive manufacturers, sellers, and insurance providers process millions of payments through bank transactions, web and mobile services, and cash operations. That's right. Think about it. You can now pay for your automotive vehicle, your car payments, right from your mobile phone. You can even apply right on your mobile phone through a dealership's website here in the United States, a dealership's website. In other countries, I know, you can buy directly from the manufacturer. So you get the point here, is that all that is happening through your mobile device and other sorts of laptop services, etc., or simply just cash. So because of that, there also, as a result, have it highlighted here, that just means that there is an increase in transaction fees, but that means there's a huge lack of transparency when it comes down to the paperwork and where the money's coming from, let alone the cybersecurity risks. So blockchain might be the cure for these ills, or some people may call it snake oil. I am not one of those people. That being said, there is a lot of potential and a lot of great things for this. Now, the 3 areas of which there are use cases, that they're looking at here in this article, are car manufacturers and vehicles. That's the buyers and the sellers of the industry. Also looking at it from the perspective of ride sharing and car sharing services. And number 3, integration with other technologies. So what about the selling of vehicles? Those people who are on the manufacturer and the car buyer side. So for people who are working in the car sales or in the manufacturing side, the lack of operational transparency is a key struggle. And here, if you know someone who's ever sold a car and that's just what they do, they're in car sales and they're working all those hours, trust me, if you go into a dealership and you have a hard time trying to buy a car, sometimes the person selling the car has so much lack of transparency about what's going on with the vehicle, what's going on the finance side. They don't know anything other than how to get in the process of selling a vehicle. Their managers, as you know, are the ones who try to take care of it all. So by implementing blockchain technology for payments in the automotive industry, you can create a unified platform to easily track down and pay for vehicles, parts, and manufactured vehicles, as well as related services. So here's the thing. If you were someone that's maybe not in the automotive industry directly, but you came across this video, keep in mind that, the manufacturers themselves, they have a whole bunch of, let's just say, partners who are not part of their process. And what I mean by that is they have these third-party entities. And those third-party entities are the suppliers to help them manufacture and build the cars. Whether it's people with the mining industry, whether it's people who are creating the nuts, the bolts, the cogs, whatever it is that go inside the vehicle, those are all third-party people who provide the parts and to manufacture the vehicle. Let alone once the vehicle gets sold, and then it's this third-party entity, like the people at the Jiffy Lubes and all that. Just think about the vastness of the automotive industry stretched out all over the place. So there's a lot that goes into it. Now, in that, there's a lot of paper, there's a lot of money transferring hands. So that's some of the things you have to keep in mind. Now, in contrast to this paper-based system and digital databases, blockchains, because there's so much lack of security and everything else like that. So they're suggesting here that blockchains are immune to some of these accidental data losses. Why? Because everything is verified. Loss or deletion. You can't just delete stuff off the blockchain. Now, some of the lead car manufacturers have been joining forces to launch something, and it's called the Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative. That's MOBI. I've done a number of different videos on MOBI. Definitely go check them out. MOBI is creating the standards in the mobility industry. They are doing a lot, and I'm going to be doing some videos on that sometime this week here that you'll be able to check out. All right, so now, there are two approaches to implementing blockchains for the automotive manufacturers. Keep in mind, the use cases that we kind of sought out were car manufacturing for vehicles, ride-sharing and car-sharing services, and integration with other technology. Right now, we're discussing the car manufacturers and vehicle sellers. And in that, we are looking at it from the perspective of, okay, how do we approach this implementing blockchains for the manufacturers and the sellers? Well, here's one way. Deploy a blockchain-based supply chain management system. Remember, I was saying that the automotive manufacturers, they have a lot of suppliers that end up feeding into them in order to create the vehicles. So that would help them track the movement of raw materials from the mines, etc., the vehicle parts, and even fuel for gas stations. Okay, just so you know, different manufacturing companies such as BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and General Motors are already looking into similar solutions. And every single manufacturer across the planet, this has to settle in with you. Every single manufacturer across the planet are looking into ways they can utilize blockchain to help them source and trace raw materials to become more green. Okay, it's a thing that's out there, and I'm just telling you, it's going to be happening. And that's why you see the complete electrification of the entire industry. Now, this guy talks about what his company does. I'm going to skip past that. Number two behind this, and the question is the approaches for implementing blockchain for the automotive manufacturers, and he said for sellers as well, is enhance the current system with a specific blockchain-based service or feature. This is a tough one, folks. And the guy only puts a couple sentences in here, but this is a real tough one. Now, he shows, for example, here, you can leverage blockchain as data storage to make sure no critical records are lost, speed up car value calculations, or automate some of your agreements using smart contracts. That is very, very basic, and I get it. Yes, you can use it. You just have to think about it from the perspective of, it's not just you buying the car, the independent dealers. These are private franchises. They're also buying cars from the manufacturer, money exchanging hands, contracts exchanging hands. Sometimes this stuff can take a while, in order to make sure that it shows that the inventory is in stock. Now, I have a little bit of a point to make with this, is that, see where it says here that, make sure that there's no critical records are lost. The entire industry is siloed. It is siloed with so much individual systems. It is extremely difficult in order to make things happen, especially at the tier 3/dealership level, where you're trying to get from one system to another in order just to close a deal, in order to get a car sold or traded to another store, whatever. It's just too much paperwork when it can happen right on a blockchain, so that's a big deal. Now, the second point that we're looking here for a use case, and this is one that is extremely popular for all of you, Uber or Lyft or etc., and that is the ride sharing and car sharing. Now, car sharing, just for a quick definition of that, car sharing is when you have multiple ownership of a particular vehicle. Obviously, ride sharing would be like the Ubers and the Lyfts out there. So the popularity of ride-sharing and car-sharing services is increasing as owning a car becomes more expensive. Yes, supply chain has caused, I read an article somewhere the other day where pre-owned cars are 40% higher than what they were literally 2 years ago. So it's insane, okay? It's completely insane with the cost of it. So that's why some people, with this economy changing worldwide, that perhaps car sharing and partial ownership of the vehicle could be something that is much more important. I'd like to see how that plays out in families. So, but what they want to do here is they want to make these services shine by utilizing blockchain to process and automate the information. So this way it reduces fraud. And there's fraud all over the place, people. Okay, so the risk of fraud is one of the biggest challenges for both providers and recipients of mobility services. With smart contracts, the blockchain can help these two parties create binding financial agreements that will execute and guarantee after all agreements and conditions are satisfied. So if you want to look at it from that perspective, you have to look at it from this, folks. And that is that, let's say, for instance, you were buying for Carvana or your dealership, and or you want to sell it from you to someone else. It's private, you're just selling your car outright, for sale by owner. And you want to go ahead and do that, then you would be able to go right onto a particular app, right on your phone, and this is where I see things going. And then you would be able to create a quick smart contract, and then it'd be from person to person, and you're over and done. And the dealership could do the same thing, and all of the credit stuff could be taken care of. It's just that simple. Now, they have to finalize the technology on it, but that's one of the ways in which it could be done. Number three, as it pertains to some of the use cases here, and that is the integration with other technology. And this is where I kind of want to take a good point. So beyond the smart contracts, you can also consider combining blockchain with other technologies. You could, for example, integrate blockchain with the Internet of Things. And I've said this numerous times in my videos, is remember, your vehicle is just a thing on wheels. It is literally a very, very sophisticated piece of technology that is more and more every single year communicating with the environment around it through its sensors, cameras, etc. So that is just something that you have to keep in mind, that the Internet of Things, such as the toll booth and your transponder in your car, is going to be able to communicate and get that done. So this will enable fast service delivery for both drivers and passengers. And I want to take a quick moment here that one of the key companies that are looking into this, in my opinion, and that is IoTeX. And IoTeX, they're doing a number of different things. First and foremost, they did become a member of MOBI late last year, and IoTeX is already an active leader in several enterprise consortiums. Okay, but here's the thing: as a member of MOBI, and they're saying this, we will be contributing our cutting-edge blockchain IoT technology, which includes like the Pebble Tracker. Pebble Tracker is like this cool little, basically is just say, throw a tracker in something, and literally you can track just about everything that's going on, the environment of whatever it is in, cold, hot, sweat, whatever. So it also drives research. So here's the thing. MOBI right now is working on this thing called a trusted trip. You guys can look into that. I'll do another video about that one. But basically, it's going to be enhancing the entire, let's just call it, value chain process for the consumer or for whatever the vehicle's process is. It's going to be the trusted trip. Now, speaking of trusted trip, there is another company that becomes of interest in this as we look at things from the perspective of integration with other technologies. It's when you're trying to get from one place to the other. So, when you're trying to get from, let's say, your house, and you're going to get into the Uber, and then you're maybe you're going to, let's say, a football game or a baseball game or whatever it is, and that could be European football or American football, or you're going to the ballet or whatever it is, and then you leave, and instead of taking the Uber home, you hop on the subway and take the subway home, whatever it is. So you've got all these individual apps that you have to go through in order to just to get from point A to point B. Well, Blocksmove is working on that, and they're saying we are shared business-to-business mobility blockchain platform. Tired of switching between mobility apps when traveling? Well, they have the solution, and they do, folks. It is a phenomenal company. They're doing a lot of great things, and they're like a year and a half old. With the amount of integration they are doing over there with the European Union, it is amazing. So integrating with other technologies, it's not just your car, it's about the Internet of Things. Now, here's the question. What about those challenges that are associated with it? Well, just to quickly go over those three challenges, you have data privacy. You need to secure your company's sensitive information for disclosure. The automotive industry is so siloed, one of the issues they have is sharing information between their third-party partners or the suppliers in their supply chain, and let alone as it pertains to other manufacturers. Because yes, there is some sharing going back and forth, especially when it comes down to if, and I'm putting an if out there, if there is some type of massive recall like the Takata airbags, information has to be shared, not just from the Takata airbag entity, but also throughout every single manufacturer. And then there's all that proprietary stuff that they have to get past the silos. All right. So then they have code quality. The blockchain technology sets code quality standards bar very high, saying nothing of high risk or financial losses. It's not just about the financial loss in that. It's also about the technology loss of intellectual property as well. So the contract may also perform poorly and be challenging to support if the code is redundant or has a lot of inconsistencies. So they're saying that the code quality there is going to be important. Now let's get into the last thing, and that is the subcontractor engagement. Before moving your financial operation to a single-based blockchain or blockchain-based platform, you should also check to see if your vendors are, your subcontractors. That's right. What about the people who are transporting the vehicles? What about the people who are transporting the parts, the tires? Are they going to be part of your blockchain too? Do they even want to be? Do they even like you, man? I'm just saying. So that's something to keep in mind, is that being able to have one system talk to another system, talk to 15 different other systems in the supply chain is a big deal. And if your vendors that you were in cahoots with, that you've had these lifelong contracts with because they're your buddy, your pal, so you think, and they don't want to increase their whatever, their financial output in order to integrate into a new system, then you might be out of it, folks. So I think, my personal opinion, that there's going to be some type of reason that all of these independent retail facilities, and I'm putting reason in those air quotes, just as there is another reason why people want to do certain things to their bodies these days, and I'll keep it at that. You want to be able to make sure that the entire system has moved along. So that being said, this whole blockchain entity, there's a lot of governance that's going to have to take place, folks. This article has been put out by Forbes. Definitely, if you want, you can go check the article out. I've gone through it pretty much in depth. There's nothing else to see here. But let me know what you think of the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Automotive Blockchain channel.